season with injuries, but thankfully the young Classic centre Nathan McAvoy isn't one of those 14 on the Croc players. Despite being just 21, the English international has played over 100 games for the Reds, but this match could prove to be his most testing of his career tonight. With coach Andy Gregory having no choice but to throw in the two juniors into the Super League hotbed, McAvoy has to stand up and be counted, lead by example and produce the skills that earned him international recognition. It won't be an easy night, especially with Leeds desperate to wipe away the memory of that shock loss to Bradford last week. And here's the one Leeds player who will be eager to get back into winning ways. Francis Cummins has fond memories of this stadium, having made his England debut here against France in 1995. Cummins scored a scorcher of a try that day, and he'll be eager to emulate that effort this evening. And on current form, that's more than likely, for the Leeds flyer has been the form finisher in Super League of late. He scored two fine tries against the Bulls a week ago, and that has brought his total up to 9 for the season. If his centre partner Brad Godden can supply him with the service, I'm sure that Cummins could pick up a back full of tries tonight.
Leeds Rhinos against Salford Reds then kicks off our 3-week journey around the country. This time next week we're in Northampton for Halifax against Cup winners Sheffield. The following night we head north of the border to Edinburgh for Bradford Bulls against London Broncos. July 24th we return to Gateshead for Hull Sharks against Huddersfield Giants. Then it's off to South Wales. Warrington meet Castleford in Cardiff on July the 25th. And the roadshow spectacular comes to an end in Swansea 3 weeks on Sunday as Wigan meet Saints. Well, the two captains emerged from the dressing rooms just a few minutes ago. Iestyn Harris of Leeds on the right and Mark Lee, the Salford skipper, on the left. Looks like Salford have won the toss. Bill's now with the two captains.
Well, Iestyn, I should imagine the Leeds Rhinos are looking to bounce back after that setback last time out.
Yeah, we're disappointing result for us. You know, we was confident going into that game, and you know, things didn't go right for us on the day. But you know, we've come to Gateshead tonight, and we're looking to get back on track.
Let's just make it clear, this is no exhibition game, is it?
Oh, definitely not. No, it's worth 2 points, and both Leeds and Salford know that, you know, we're desperate for the points, and it's going to be a crunch game for us both.
Thanks very much. Let's bring in Mark Lee, Salford Reds captain. Mark, we're going to see the sort of Salford performance that took you to victory against Bradford, because you're capable of that, aren't you?
Yeah, we certainly are, and we need it tonight. We need a massive start against Leeds tonight, so hopefully, you know, the first 10 minutes will give a good indicator as to how we're going to go. We haven't gone too well as of late, but hopefully we can put us back on the right track tonight.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Mark Lee looking in determined mood, and why not? Because two priceless points are at stake tonight, and they could lead to Old Trafford, and you could be at Old Trafford on October the 24th for the grand final by taking part in our Man of the Match competition, which runs all the way through this season on Super League Live. Name your man of the match, and then hope that your name comes out of our computer first, and you'll be the winner. And all the winners will also go into a draw to win that VIP box to Old Trafford on the big night. 0891 33 33 13. We'll ask you to ring in with about 20 minutes to go. Well, this is the scene at Gateshead. Here are the Leeds players who will take part in this first roadshow match. Iestyn Harris is the captain at fullback. Marvin Golden comes in on the wing. Richard Blackmore, Brad Godden passed a late fitness test. He plays. Francis Cummins, Tony Kemp and Graham Holroyd is the halfback. Up front, a change. Martin Masella, Ryan Sheridan and Barry McDermott makes his first start of 98. Darren Fleary then drops down into the second row alongside Anthony Farrell, and Darrell Powell is the loose forward. And on the bench, Paul Sterling, Jamie Matthew, Andy Hay and Kevin Sinfield, the 17-year-old who is a sensational player, a big star of the future, according to his coach, Graham Murray. Now the Reds of Salford, devastated by injury, and Andy Gregory has turned to youth. Gary Broadbent is the fullback. 19-year-old Stuart Littler on the wing, alongside Nathan McAvoy and Scott Martin, Darren Rogers. Simon Svabik is the standoff half, alongside his captain for tonight, Mark Lee, at halfback. And up front, it's Paul Southern, young Malcolm Alker, Essini Familo, bags of experience there. Joe Familo, his younger brother, Paul Heighton, is in the second row, and Craig Randall is the loose forward. So some really big names missing for Andy Gregory, who names Cliff Eccles, Lucchini Savelio, Ricky Helliwell and Josh White on his bench. Now this is the scene in the Leeds dressing room. They know they need the 2 points because they are desperate to get back on level terms with Wigan at the top of the table. Salford, though, they have only won once in their last 8 matches, but that was against the champions Bradford. And although they've got this dreadful injury problem, they do have talent. Back-to-back First Division champions, of course. Salford finding it tougher going this year. Just 1 win in the last 8 tells its own story. But Andy Gregory will expect his side to come with a late rally during the second half of the year. Darren Rodgers, their leading try scorer, is unlucky not to have made it to the emerging England squad. 5 of his teammates have. So the Salford Reds enter the Gateshead International Stadium, 9th in the table, ahead of Castleford and Hull, only on points difference. They reached the semi-final of the Challenge Cup for a second successive year, but they really then were crestfallen when they were beaten by Sheffield. And here's their opponents tonight, the Leeds Rhinos, who began 98 in blistering form, 9 wins in a row, but 2 defeats in the last 4 games. People are asking now if they're starting to wobble. Overtaken in the scoring stakes last weekend by Halifax, now they've got the 3rd best in that department behind the Blue Sox and Wigan. Francis Cummins is joint 2nd on the top 10 list of try scorers. And Anthony Farrell, well, he'll get through a ton of work as normal. Out comes Harris for this first game in the northeast of England since June 1996, when England beat France by 73 points to 6 here. And the firecrackers burst overhead as Graham Murray watches his men come onto the arena. The Leeds coach, who has done so much to turn the Leeds season into one of great promise. Match referee is Robert Connolly. He's in control. The only Super League game taking place this weekend, of course. Next week we have matches on Friday and Saturday, then the international on Sunday. Andy Gregory, of course, knows all about international football during his playing days. One of the brightest little buttons in the Super League, this fellow. And even though his team are going through the horrors at the moment, he will want a big performance against one of his former clubs. He played for the Leeds Rhinos during a distinguished playing career. So the pre-match paraphernalia just about over. The last firecracker bursts. Joe Faimilo waits with the rest of the Salford players as Graham Holroyd gets this showcase match at Gateshead International Stadium underway. The first of 6 over the next 3 weeks, and it's vital that Salford get off to the best possible start. Leeds in fine form, but Salford with injury problems, going through the horrors at the moment. But they do have the talent to turn their season around. Issini Faimilo unloads the ball brilliantly. That's a great ball too to young Malcolm Olka. He flicks the pass away, and it continues now here with Svabik, and Svabik takes a tumble. Olka again at dummy half. He finds Mark Lee, his captain, who chips the ball over the top and finds touch. Good, confident start from the Salford Reds then.
Tremendous start, especially from their 2 youngsters, the hooker Malcolm Alkan. Neat little run down the middle, then followed on, supported by Simon Svabik. And the skipper Mark Lee, neat little kick into the corner. He knows the advantage of the kicking game tonight. They really are the underdogs. Leeds, of course, smarting from that loss to Bradford last weekend. They want to make amends, but this Salford outfit don't write them off just because they've got so many youngsters out there.
That Godden lost that ball. That was a knock on. The touch judge has signalled to Robert Connolly, but I tell you what, the signal wasn't the greatest. It was just a little tiny movement of the hands, but it was a definite knock on.
Little doubt about that. The centre, who's in fine form, completely lost it. And as you say, the Murray flag, I think he moved about a quarter of an inch, his hands.
That's why there was
forward.
the delay, yes.
Very stylish, but we couldn't see it. Neither could Robert Connolly, the referee.
Faimilo with the drive into the 10-metre zone. Alka is the man at dummy half. He gives it now to Assini Faimilo. Assini Faimilo, of course, also used to wear the gold and blue of Leeds. This is Lee, and Lee gets the pass away. Alka gets a try! What a start for Salford and Malcolm Alka. This terrific run of form of his continues. This 19-year-old playing his 5th in a row at hooker. 3 tries in his last 2 games. He's come up with another.
All came about by a back mistake by the centre. Here it is, Brad Godden losing the football. And from here, watch how Lee throws the dummy back on the inside again. Barry McDermott took a super one there. And this young hooker, Malcolm Alka, well, he's not shy at scoring tries, and you can see that he'll follow up on the inside. The opportunity's there, and once the half break comes, sucks in Houston Harris, and that's what a hooker's there for. Support back on the inside. They've got the start they wanted.
Have they ever? So 3 consecutive games now that Malcolm Alka has scored for the Salford Reds. What a start to that young man's career. So Svabik gets the opportunity to kickstart not only Salford's bid for the points here in Gateshead, but also his career. He is on debut tonight. Standoff in the academy, formerly with Oldham. 3 goals and a drop goal against Widnes recently. And he gets the 2 points here from bang in front. So, that's a shock. Salford ahead 6-0.
You can see Lee's throwing the dummy to the man that's circled, and watch for McDermott. He takes it with ease. Super play there. And the hooker straight in underneath the post.
Well, the best possible start for Salford, just what Andy Gregory would have dreamed of. And Leeds, well, they will want to respond quickly to silence 1 or 2 of the doubters who have emerged over the past month after their breathtaking start to the season. And Andy Gregory couldn't have dreamed that things would be going as well as this with just 4 minutes of the match gone. That's Martin Masella with the drive in. A nightmare start for Graham Murray. Here is Holroyd now, though, attacking that defensive line, and he's almost through, but good tracking back by Mark Lee. Lee could have been penalised there for just getting Holroyd in a headlock. This, meanwhile, is Darryl Powell to the halfway line for Leeds. Good tackling by Craig Randall initially, and with a bit of help from Faimilo. Kemp with the kick over the top. He dissects Rogers and Broadbent. Rogers picks it up, and Blackmore, following the kick up, gets the tackle in on the Salford winger.
Well done there by Rogers. He realised that Kemp was going to kick on that blind side. He dropped back early. Gave him plenty of time to cover the football. Well, they really have rocked this Leeds outfit. I don't think anybody within their wildest dreams expected Salford to split this very solid Leeds defence so early in the match. They've done just that, and full credit to them. It was wonderful work by Mark Lee.
Well, as I said, when they emerged from the dressing room, Salford, they reached the semi-final of the Challenge Cup for the 2nd successive year, but they were crestfallen when beaten by Sheffield, and I don't think that they have ever really recovered from that massive disappointment. And their season has stuttered along. And I know that Andy Gregory last week was highly displeased with the performance of some of his senior stars, but with 14 injuries in the camp, he was forced really to give youth its head here tonight, and haven't they started well?
Sure have, and again, good defence by the loose forward, Craig Randall. He's keeping a tight hold of Leeds, and you can see that this Salford defence moving up out wide is forcing Leeds down the middle, one-out football.
This now is Anthony Farrell. He gets to his feet, and Ryan Sheridan is the dummy half, gets away from Alka, but Svabik was in there. Now then, Kemp. Back on the inside is Barry McDermott, who flicks the pass away. He's lucky to get away with that. Kemp was able to grab the ball in and bring it to his chest and retain possession for his team. Here now is Yestin Harris.
Good tackle there by Joe Faimilo, and that's the key. There's one man going downstairs for the legs, the other one is getting the pass off.
Holroyd dabs the ball forward, collected by Gary Broadbent. You may remember that earlier this year Leeds beat Salford 31-12 at Headingley. It was in April, a match you saw with us on Sky Sports, and Salford really did give as good as they got for an hour, but then they just succumbed to the extra finishing power that Leeds had on that night. Well, they're ahead here now by 6-0, the Salford Reds.
Playing solid basic football. There's no pressure on them at the moment. You can see they're quite happy to just cart the ball forward, and they'll utilise the kick and chase game.
Randall turned over on his back. Olka, the dummy half. Back to Mark Lee, one of 3 Salford skippers this year. Steve Blakely and Andy Platt, of course. Both of them at the moment out of the side, injured.
There's a great kick as well by the skipper, Lee. You could see that it turned the fullback Justin Harris around. That's what they've got to do for the full 80 minutes.
Now here's Francis Cummins. Young man in great form, Cummins. 9 tries so far this season. Now Darryl Powell getting an extended chance at loose forward. Mark Glanville out, of course. And Andy Hay also missing.
Second little attempt there. You can see that he just struggled away. Quite a few of them there. Randall underneath.
Cleary, the man who was fouled, Paul Heighton. But Cleary playing in the second row, and as well as Mark Glanville and Andy Hayes on the bench today. Of course, Leeds without Adrian Morley, still injured, and he will come back to the side, I fancy, with Glanville after the next fortnight, when Leeds will have this mid-season break. Masella with a good drive into the 20-metre zone now for Leeds.
I think that's a ploy, though, by Graham Murray, the Leeds coach. I think they'll want to get the full 20 minutes out of Darren Fleary, run himself as best he can in the opening 20. Oh, that was a forward, surely.
And the referee has got it. Yes, Robert Connolly agrees with you. The pass from Powell.
Just delayed it a little bit too long. You can see there that Holroyd had already taken the step across the advantage line. Looked somewhat confused there, did the loose forward Darryl Powell, but I don't know why. I think he knows deep down that he just held on a fraction too much.
So Salford with the possession from the scrum. This is Nathan McAvoy. We mentioned bright young prospects. There's another one, 21 years old. One of the 5 Salford men in the emerging England squad. I mean, even though, Steve-O, they've been having a rough time of it in Super League, Salford still have the young players who are coming through the ranks, and the fact that there are 5 in that England squad for next Sunday, that emphasises the point perfectly.
And also the point that their coach Andy Gregory is not shy in criticising his players, as he has done on a few occasions, but he's a coach that when everything seems to be going against him, he comes above adversity and says, come on, we can show we're underdogs, and he lives off that. He did that as a player.
Svavic with the little dab through to Justin Harris, Welsh international. He finds Marvin Golden. And just mentioning that international, it's next Sunday at Widnes, the AutoQuest Stadium in Widnes, and it's emerging England against Wales. You can see it with us on Sky Sports 3 next Sunday at 3 o'clock.
There again we see the principle of the skill of the kick and chase, and it was good. And this loose forward, Craig Randall, for the Salford Reds, is working overtime.
Southern and Alka and Faimilo, Senior Faimilo with the tackle. That isn't completed on Ryan Sheridan. Now it is, because Mark Lee got to him.
Good work from Sheridan there, but I think he picked up an injury.
He did. He's limped away from playing the ball to Harris, who gets a little run going down the left-hand side. Desperate defence there from Salford. Godden was the dummy half. He finds Kemp, who will hoist the midfield bomb. And he's looking for Golden over there on the far side, but Darren Rogers comes up with it as he claims another high ball, as he does so often, this Salford winger.
Well, a little bit fortunate there, I feel. It came off Marvin Golden, but he's done that so many times over the past couple of seasons. Very much an underrated player is Darren Rogers, the winger. Also played fullback. Didn't appear to be all that safe.
Penalty now against Leeds for lying all over Joe Faimilo.
Just getting back to Darren Rogers there. Played for quite a time. This is the incident where a little bit too high and a bit of a squeeze with the knee. A bit of a facial to go with it. He didn't look all that settled at full-back, but once they switched him onto the wing, he really has served Salford well.
He has indeed. Milo now wrestled to the ground. There's Darren Rogers. Keep an eye out for him. He's pretty quick down the wing and he copes competently with those high balls floated out wide. This now is Paul Heighton, and Heighton's lost that.
Well, I think there were two on tackle. He got it back, and I think that's the reason why the referees applied the advantage.
He's lost that one.
Lost. That's definitely lost. That wasn't reached out.
That was Randall who lost the ball.
There's the impact, and as his body hit the ground, he lost control of it. Oh, it's good defence.
Great tackle by Joe Familo. Sheridan gets the pass away to Kemp, and Kemp trying to set something going for Golden out wide here.
Good refereeing there by Robert Connolly. There were two Salford players in an offside position. He told them to stay away, and that's why they made progress, did Leeds. Great to see the referee allowing advantage then.
Darryl Powell gets up, plays the ball to Sheridan. He finds Harris. This now is Holroyd. Holroyd brings it back on the inside, but McDermott puts it down. But it's a penalty to Salford. You might be able to hear Robert Connolly saying the ball was knocked forward and then the man stood in front, touched it. McDermott.
You can see Fleary drop the football. This is a run, and you can see the two players out wide. They're not allowed to touch Kemp, and that was because the referee Connolly had shouted to them. That's the reason why Kemp made progress forward. More of that, please, from the Merry Whistleblowers throughout this season. They've been put under a lot of pressure, and I'm sure that they will respond to it positively.
3 penalties in the opening 14 minutes. Familo, Isini Familo on halfway, plays the ball. Heighton carries it over the halfway line for Salford again. Powell in there quickly with Godden. Godden, who did such a great work in defence for Leeds last week against the Bulls. A bit unlucky really to end up on the losing side, but he did, because Leeds conceded 5 tries.
Full credit to Salford there. You could see how far back their three-quarter line was standing, and they are running forward onto the football. And I'm afraid the Leeds defence, they're just hesitating somewhat. They're not moving up as quickly as they should.
Leeds a little bit off colour at the moment as Lee hoists the bomb again in midfield, but it goes out on the full. Nothing that Darren Rogers could do about that, and the Salford skipper unhappy with his own kick.
Well, that's the first mistake from Salford in the opening 14.5 minutes, so I'm sure that Andy Gregory, their coach, will be quite happy with it. And they're good tactics at the moment. There's not much frills coming from the Reds, but they're getting the basics right, especially in the defensive department.
Offside against Salford now. Leeds have the penalty. Salford just creeping up.
Well, you can see there were quite a few of them just taking a step just before the ball had been played. But that's been a feature so far, and I'm sure that's what Gregory and the team have been working on all last week.
Well, you can see the head-to-head over the past 25 years between these two. Salford have got a woeful record against the Leeds Rhinos. It's almost 5 years since they last beat Leeds, and they beat them twice then, both at the Willows. Once in the league and once in the Regal Trophy. So it really would be an historic moment for Salford Reds if they got on top of the Leeds Rhinos here at Gateshead tonight. Holroyd with the ball back on the inside to his captain Harris again, and Harris gets Leeds to within 8 metres of the line. Blackmore dummy half, misses out Fleary, finds Masella. Masella spins in the tackle, but was tackled well by Southern downstairs and Heighton round the chest area. This now is Kemp, and Kemp straightens it up, and Mark Lee has pinched it. Mark Lee isn't the quickest. I don't think he'll win this particular race. Godden gets to him, but that's good play from Mark Lee, good anticipation. Salford growing in confidence. This is Rogers.
Tremendous pick up there by Mark Lee. He read the run around and the pass on the inside to perfection. Kemp had already been involved in that run around movement. And that just shows you that the players as well as the coaches look at the videotapes. They certainly look at their opposition very, very carefully indeed, and it showed there.
Senior for Milo, flicked the ball away, it bounced forward, and it's play on, says Robert Connolly. Yestin Harris has control of the football. He's well tackled in the end.
Well, I'm not so sure that Salford could have got a penalty there. There appeared to be a hand in there. Well, you see it, yeah, it was Godden, and there was more than one man in attendance. So Leeds fortunate there. It could be a little bit of luck that they were looking for, because they've been out of sorts in the first 16 minutes.
Lost it again. Alka picked it up. He finds Joe Familo. This is Nathan McAvoy. And the more that this match progresses, the greater Salford's confidence.
Now, there was another incident. Did Lee get an arm to it whilst Darryl Powell was carrying the football?
So big opportunity here for Salford. The captain Lee gives it to Broadbent, the full-back.
Ooh, swinging arm there.
Fleary.
And Fleary. Well, you can hear the referee, Robert Connolly, calling him Mr. Fleary. That was a malicious one, right over the top. Swinging arm. No intention of making contact below the neck. Well, frustration often plays its part when you're behind. And I think that's a warning that should get right inside the brain box of that young fella. Because I get a feeling, Eddie, that Robert Connolly will not mess around today.
Well, Fleary has come from nowhere to the verge of international honours, but he won't want to look at this too many times.
Well, he set him up, wasn't it? The old coconut shy situation. Wasn't sure that the full-back took too kindly to it. Well, mistakes are plenty from Leeds, and ill discipline is not helping their cause at all.
Well, the opportunity of another 2 points here for young Simon Svabek. His grandfather apparently is of Yugoslav descent. That's where the name has come from. He's just about bang in front, 19 metres away. And not even a 19-year-old on his Super League debut misses opportunities like that. An unlikely scoreline then at the Gateshead International Stadium, and Salford ahead 8-0.
Building in confidence as well are the Salford Reds. And as we mentioned before the game, they were underdogs. And the swinging arm, clearly seen on the slow motion replay. There's the coach, who looks quite placid at the moment. Fiery little character as a player, and on the occasion also as a coach.
Brad Godden, who was doubtful until this morning, is withdrawn by Graham Murray, and Paul Sterling comes on. The kick-off has found its way to touch. Kemp not interested in that, Steve-O.
Well,
and neither was Golden.
Just shows you that they're a little bit at 6s and 7s are the Leeds outfit. No confidence whatsoever.
Well, the last thing that Leeds supporters want is an end-of-season slump like last year, when they lost their last 3 and dropped out of the top 4. There's a long way to go yet. 10 matches still to play.
Well, we're nearly midway through this first half, and I just get the impression that that's what Leeds need. More running by the forwards that we see there. Second attempt by Familo. That's a silly penalty to give away, because up until now their kick and chase game and defence has been good, and they've been forcing Leeds into making the errors. And to give Leeds an extra 35-40 metres forward is a sin. I'm just saying, Eddie, it appears to me that Leeds have to roll up the sleeves, and we call it getting dirty in the game. Work hard. Where there's muck, there's brass, there's money, and there's a winning bonus.
Harris. Well, he's certainly chiming into the line, is Iestyn Harris. This is Masella, and he was almost through then, but Alka got a flying tackle in on him, just halted the progress. Good tackle as well from Paul Southern. Holroyd floats the ball out wide.
Well spotted there by Nathan McAvoy. The big Kiwi international Blackmore was always falling for that pass.
Now McAvoy again working hard from the marker position to bring down Marvin Golden. Here's Holroyd again. Now it's with Tony Kemp. And Kemp hoists a very tempting kick high, looking for Sterling. The ball bounces, and that looks like it's a try. And it's Francis Cummins underneath all that. But Bob Connolly will hand it on to the video referee. I think that's pretty wise in view of what happened at Central Park last Sunday evening.
Well, the youngster went up for it, and Littler missed it. And I think this will be a try. No, worries about that. It was knocked back by Sterling, and that was good work there. And that is good work there. Watch Sterling go up. Definitely gets to it. It knocks back, so that's fair. Well picked out by Cummins. And that's a well-taken try. When that all came about by 4 good drives by the forwards. Gave them the launching pad to come up with their first try.
Cummins is about to hit double figures. The try is given to Leeds. And at last the Gateshead expedition gets underway. Francis Cummins with his 10th try of the Super League season.
As I mentioned, the hard work of the forwards got them into the position for Kemp to hoist a superb kick into the corner. It was quick thinking there by the standoff, and they know that they were going to apply the pressure, and rightly so, to the youngster Stuart Littler.
Half a century of goals for Iestyn Harris. This is his 40th consecutive appearance for Leeds tonight. 18 points against Salford in April. Only Andy Farrell has kicked more, and only Andy Farrell has still kicked more. That one sails away from the posts, but Leeds have cut the deficit. 8-4, Salford ahead.
Smart thinking, long ball out wide, and they were expecting Holroyd to be the kicker, and you can see that Kemp had pushed his way out, and they're applying the pressure onto the youngster, and they came up with the scraps, and it's a vital 4 points.
So Leeds get off the mark, courtesy of the try, and Darren Fleary is picked out again for a dangerous tackle. That's the second in quick succession, and Robert Connolly wants a word with him this time.
Well, to be fair, I think the first impact was on the shoulder, but he did finish up into the face.
What's he doing? Mr. Fleary?
Again, he calls him Mr. Fleary. Watch what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the first impact was on the shoulder, but the follow-through went in. But after you've just been warned down the other end, you've got to use a little bit of common sense, and it wouldn't surprise me if Graham Murray, the Leeds coach, said, come off, Mr. Fleary. No, I don't think he might call him Mr. when he asked him to run off. I think he might just take him off for a bit of a rest.
Cliff Eccles is on there. He played the ball, his first touch, and that's why this Salford attack continues. Francis Cummins, by the way, with that try that he's just scored, he has now joined Keith Senior at the top of the Super League try-scoring lists with 10. Great effort from the winger, in great form this year.
Probably the best I've ever seen him play, and I think he can put that down to a little bit of help from good centre player Brad Godden.
Oh, Harris has dropped it. It's back to 0 on the tackle count from Bob Connolly, and Salford have another opportunity here to attack again.
Well, again, we can see there that Harris had all the time in the world to take it. Lost it completely. It hit the shoulder. Well, the mistakes, they mount for Leeds.
Eccles with that drive in, 13 metres short of the line. Lee, and Joe Familo couldn't pick it up, and neither could Tony Kemp, so the referee will play the first knock-on.
A bit of a looping pass, but he should have taken it, Joe Familo. Neat little work back on the inside, and you can see that Lee sent the ball out. See that the rain coming down, so it's quite slippery out there.
Well, we heard that Steve-O put a lot of Francis Cummins' good tries this year down to the work of the man inside him, Brad Godden. Godden at the moment off the field. He was doubtful before the match. News of his condition from Bill.
That's right, Eddie, and I think that injury problem that he carried into the game, shoulder region, has caught up with Brad Godden, on top of which he's picked up a groin injury by the look of things as well. He's now been taken back down to the dressing room, in fact, for a bit more treatment. Not only is he creator, but he's also a defensive linchpin for Leeds as well, so he's going to be a big miss. Steve-O mentioned the slippery conditions. It is raining again, and noticeably Richie Blackmore just came to the touchline to change his boots.
Anthony Farrell was just ankle tapped, and as he hit the deck and got whitewash in the face, he lost control of the football as well.
Good run though by the forward, though I must say that before that Martin Marcella had a strong run, but offloaded the football in an impossible position. They're trying to force the pass when, I hate to repeat myself, but Leeds really have to start working rather than being fancy.
Well, Leeds conceded a penalty there to Salford, even though it looked as though Farrell had simply lost control of the football.
There was a Leeds player stood in front, so it was automatically offside.
So he must have touched the ball then, did he?
Yep.
Got eyes in the back of his head, this boy.
Always like to help you, Eduardo.
Certainly the wind won't put any hair in your eyes, Steve, that's for sure. Randall dummy half.
I could always borrow yours, of course.
Yes.
Oh, nice move, but well spotted there by Kemp. That really was good defence. A dummy runner coming back on the inside. It didn't put Kemp off.
Good little kick across field, and Sterling collects. Now Sterling has got some pace, as he proved last week against the Bradford Bulls. He's still going, Sterling, and Randall came in and could have been penalised for the second effort, and he is now for interference. But I think Broadbent, the man picked out by Robert Connolly,
he should go for this.
He's going, he is. He's on his way to the sin bin.
Professional foul, and rightly so. Well, it's no good checking your head, Gary. Good work, though, by Sterling. He knew how important that possession was to his side. Didn't just want to take him on the touchline and use his speed. He could see that Broadbent, the fullback, had him in his sights. Well, it's amazing, isn't it? A guy gets sent off for 10 minutes for a professional foul, and two unsavoury incidents where you hit a fella in the face and they don't get anything.
Darren Rogers has moved back to cover for Gary Broadbent, who's now off the field until just before half-time. Leeds will come again with Harris. He flicks the pass then to Kemp. Young Olka got to him with a bit of help from Zvabik. This is Blackmore. Good strong run from Richie Blackmore.
That's going to be a penalty. He used the elbow there, did Blackmore.
The referee's missed it. This is Holroyd. And he's forced into touch. Hit the corner flag and went over the sideline anyway, but it was good work from Scott Martin in defence, but it should have been a penalty to Salford. There.
Look at that. I mean, I don't know. I know that they don't have the video replay, but these touch judges. Good work, though, by Littler and Martin, of course. Looking to get away with that, the experienced Kiwi international, Richie Blackmore.
Well, I was going to mention when he got the ball, he's surely a contender for the Kiwis against Great Britain at the end of this season. He's played 22 times for his country, he scored 14 tries. He's on top form this year, but that was just a little bit of silliness that he can do without.
Well, we talk about frustration not only within the players, but to the coaches. They are under the pressure, and when they see a referee and the two touch judges miss something like that, and yet they don't miss a professional foul, it can be extremely cruel and confusing.
Lee again with the kick. He drills it towards the touchline. Harris can tend to allow the ball to find its way into touch. Mark Lee, who actually scored a try last time Salford beat Leeds.
Playing to the tactics, obviously given to him by his coach Gregory, and he's doing a fine job. Taking the mantle of the skipper tonight, and his kicking game, apart from one, has been outstanding.
Holroyd feeds Kemp. Kemp then to Blackmore. Rogers and young Svabik again. I say the youngsters, Steve-O, that Andy Gregory has thrown into the deep end here, Littler and Svabik, and also Alka, they have gone well.
They certainly have, and we expected that. It was a big gamble, we know, that Gregory threw in the youngsters, but they certainly have acquitted themselves quite well.
Half an hour gone then, and Salford ahead by 8 points to 4 as Leeds and Salford plod to the scrum. And Salford will be pleased about that, because they, remember, are the side playing with a man down. Gary Broadbent in the sin bin for the professional foul, but that's good strength from Scott Martin, but he's lost it, and Fleary picks up for Leeds.
Well, we mentioned things about being cruel. One-on-one, it went backwards. And it looks like they've given away a silly penalty here. Big centre Scott Martin. He just has a second go at it and pulls the ball away. It pushes him 3 or 4. The rule states as soon as you made the tackle, roll away. Failed to do it.
Well, Martin, a former academy and under-21 international, started the last 8. He was loose forward against the Australians for Great Britain under-21s here way back in 1994. This should be a gift, 2 points to Iestyn Harris. Missed with the conversion attempt after the try earlier on.
I think they'll be quite happy to take these 2 points on offer. They found it quite difficult to get through the eager Salford defence.
Rain falling steadily here in Gateshead, this wonderful summer of '98 continuing. And Harris finds the mark with that penalty. Leeds now within 2 points.
Fine weather.
The fine summer of '98. It'll go down as one of the greatest summers of all time. It certainly will on the rugby field. I'm not so sure about upstairs.
We'll be running a competition saying, spot the sunstroke.
Well, I remember summer, it happened in May.
Oh, it'll come again. Change of the tides, new moon.
Oh yeah, we've heard this about 6 times this summer, and still we wait.
Well, this is a newer moon.
I would like to see you in that fetching little bikini you were buying the other day. Here come Salford again. Eccles this time, turned over on his back.
Good defence as well, and they need to be. And you see on this occasion, Leeds are charging forward now. Obviously the message has got out from their coach, Graham Murray, to lift things, and they certainly needed it.
Lee again. His kicking game will be so important tonight. Harris just lets the ball run past him, and he took the gamble. I think it was going to run touch in goal, but it ran the right side of the corner post from Mark Lee's point of view. The scrum will form.
And again, these tactics working very well. Lee punched that ball into the slippery surface very hard, and Harris did right, though, not to take the gamble, because they've come up with a few knock-ons of Leeds, especially within their own quarter.
Holroyd gets the possession from the scrum, and he finds Tony Kemp.
He dropped it.
He dropped the ball. No wonder Graham Murray looks on a worried man at the moment. Leeds are not in the form that they showed in the opening 9 weeks of this season.
Well, I'm not so sure he dropped it. I think McAvoy certainly got a hand to it. Was there another one onto him? I think there was. So Salford very fortunate there. That should have been a penalty. McAvoy definitely reefing the ball out. But it'll still go down as a mistake as far as Leeds are concerned, because Salford have possession. And we've already seen how Lee has opened this defence up a couple of occasions.
Here's Cliff Eccles driving towards the line, the big prop forward.
Keep your eye out on Mark Lee yet again.
Now then, another drive comes in. He disappears, the Salford man, under 4 Leeds defenders. And that was Southern. This now is Lee. A lovely dab through by Lee. That's a try. I think McAvoy's got it, but I bet you Bob Connolly hands it on to the video referee. He does. Couple of things maybe to check here, offside and then about downward pressure, but McAvoy's convinced he's got the try.
Well, it was a beautiful kick through from Mark Lee. It's a downward pressure that the referee wants to look at. Well, should I say, he's requesting the video referee. Open to the blind side, and you can see how the Leeds defence hesitated slightly. He was onside, no doubt about that. It's whether he gets downward pressure. Pretty difficult to say that he did. He had a go with his right hand, then he has a go with his left one. Well, I've seen them given, and I've seen them not given. And I think they may go for a little bit of a knock-on here, but the left hand, for a moment, appears to have it down, so therefore he certainly missed it with the right hand.
Well, Golden got a foot to it as well, so if it is no try, surely it'll be a drop out from underneath the sticks, won't it? The Leeds man hacked it dead.
No, he'll deem that the first time is a knock-on as he touches it with his right hand, so therefore it's a knock-on.
Simultaneous. We're back to the milliseconds that we talked about earlier this year.
Well, they're taking a while, so they're a bit confused, just like us. So, correctly, as the rulebook goes, it has to be a knock-on.
Let's see. It's no try. 20-metre place kick. And that 20-metre place kick going to the Leeds Rhinos.
Well, that was a great relief there for Leeds. They were put on the rack yet again by the skills of the Salford skipper, Mark Lee, through a dummy and a neat pass on the inside to get the first try for Alka there, and it was a lovely little kick through, wasn't it?
Well, they've opened Leeds up twice now, and only for the fact that Nathan McAvoy was just a second or two off the pace. There might have been 2 tries to the good.
Pretty good effort there to say that they've had a man sent to the sin bin.
Jamie Matthew for Leeds on halfway. By Milo, and Eccles get to him. That's Joe for Milo. Now Ryan Sheridan scampering away from dummy half. Good run. Powell dummy half for Leeds. Kemp out wide. It goes to Holroyd, who puts it down.
I think it was forward anyway. Oh, yet again, the mistake for Leeds.
Oh, and that's come back. Yes, it is. Leeds with a big opportunity here. Powell drives a hole up the middle. Rodgers is after him, and with help from Alka is brought down. Leeds have made 9-6 in the error count. Kemp back on the inside. That's another. Rodgers has certainly got it back off Sheridan.
Good play there by the winger, Darren Rodgers. You see, it went through Powell, and Rodgers got there before Sheridan. Used all his upper body strength. They were desperate to get possession there.
Now Eccles, good strong run from the prop forward, the substitute, Cliff Eccles. Oh, another drop ball. Big hit by the Leeds defence on Craig Randall.
Loose forward would have felt that as well. Marcella just stood there like the brick wall. Saw Matthew, decided I'll have a go at Marcella. Wishes he didn't.
So Leeds come again with Holroyd. Now Blackmore. And Gary Broadbent has returned for Salford, so they've very much limited the damage. This, meanwhile, is Sterling. Sheridan dummy half to Jamie Matthew. Now Kemp. A lot of movement behind Tony Kemp, but he hangs on to the football, takes the tackle from Joe Familo again. Marcella back to his captain Harris. On then to Fleary. And Fleary spins it back. That's good play. Sheridan! Sheridan gets the try! Well, he scored a sensational try at Warrington, Ryan Sheridan. And he has come up with the goods again here in Gateshead to give Leeds the lead just before half-time. Amazing, isn't it? As Salford get back to a full complement of 13, they concede a try to Ryan Sheridan.
Good running under the ball from Fleary, and then he spins in the tackle and offloads. Marcella did the same to Easton Harris, but watch the big fella come through. Pounding through, offload, good support by the hooker. Speed off the mark from this guy is quite amazing. Ryan Sheridan, you'll see him position himself. Good work by Marcella, offloads. Harris, bang. Whips it up. Second effort, speed off the mark. What a vital score.
Well, Ryan Sheridan, a great try at Warrington last month, and not quite the equal of it there, but great support just the same from the hooker, and good approach work, as Steve-O says, from Harris, Fleary and company. Now Harris with the opportunity to add 2 more, but Leeds have the lead at the moment for the first time tonight, and Harris misses with the conversion attempt. He looks over his shoulder. He believed he'd scored it then, but the touch judges thought otherwise. 10-8 though, Leeds.
There you see the defence is split. They've moved up too quickly, but look at the arc at the back there. That looks like a tired defence. Far too many there in the full-back position when they should be in the front line. And that allowed Sheridan the opportunity to go in for the 4 points.
Mark Lee, little clumsily, collected the kick-off and collects a tackle, which he wasn't too impressed with by the looks of things, but although it's not been a vintage Leeds performance, right on the stroke of half-time, they have taken a 2-point advantage here, maybe to take with them into the dressing rooms. Only 5 seconds of normal time remaining. Salford in possession. Tackled is Paul Southern, and that's the half for Leeds. Well, Masella with the big hit got the possession for Leeds up towards half-time, and the Salford defence just couldn't hang on as Fleary and Harris and company conjured up the opening for Ryan Sheridan. And Tony Kemp going off knowing that Leeds have a 2-point advantage, and one really that they scarcely looked like getting during that first half. Not vintage Leeds, as I say, but they're ahead at the break. On Tuesday night here on Sky Sports 1, Jeff McCreesh defends his British welterweight title against Michael Smythe. That's live boxing Tuesday night from 8 o'clock. Right now it's Leeds against Salford in the Super League. The first of the games we're taking on the road around the country over the next 3 weeks, and Leeds ahead by 10 points to 8 at half-time. Cummins and Sheridan with the tries, Alka with the try for Salford. And the half-time juniors leave the field to the big boys of the Super League, and Nathan McAvoy preparing to get this second half underway. Pretty dreadful conditions here at the Gateshead International Stadium yet again. It seems that every time we come to the northeast of England, the heavens open on us. I remember a match against, or rather an international match between England and Wales here that was a real mudbath. But thankfully it was dry during the course of the day, so the pitch in fine condition at the Gateshead International, and these two sides, let's hope now, will parade their skills for this brand new audience that Super League is bringing to the game here.
Well, I think we've seen already in the first couple of plays that Leeds are lifted a bit for this one, because you can see that the three quarters were lying very deep.
That bounced off the legs. Oh, and Joe Pomilo, if he could only have picked that up. Instead of that, he surrendered possession to Tony Kemp. That's back to 0 on the tackle count, and Leeds are back again on the attack.
Well, in these conditions, Kemp got it through, and it came through a Familo, and you really should have just trapped it a la soccer style and then picked it up. There was no one within cooey of him, and trying to do that on the run is not the best thing to do in these conditions.
Penalty to Salford now.
Carrying the
Masella leading with the elbow, says Robert Connolly.
He's been pulled up for this quite a few times in the few games that we've already seen on Sky, and it was a bad one. We've seen players already sent off this season doing exactly the same thing. Well, that's a bad mistake. Ball's whipped away, but expect more of this. It really is slippery conditions out there.
Good strong run there from Anthony Farrell. Leeds really are on the charge start of this second half. Graham Murray's obviously asked for a try early, and they're not going to get one. And that is Francis Cummins again, his second of the night. We said that Cummins was in a rich vein of scoring form, and now he takes the lead in the Super League try-scoring stakes on his own with 11.
Keep the ball alive, make sure that the defence is spread away, and you can see poor markers there, 1 and 2. Allowed Harris to go over. A beautiful pass by the loose forward, Darryl Powell. And as Eddie said, this is the mistake, and spinning the ball there. And there's nothing that Southern could do about it. Out it came from the play of the ball, and you can see clearly there that once Harris set off, he had all the time in the world. Good work, though, by Powell. Notice how he just straightened up, then twisted in the tackle. Well read by Cummings. Came back on the inside. And as Eddie mentioned, he really is on fire, isn't he?
Well, he got a try here on his England debut against France in 1995. Also played in the under-21 international against Australia in 1994. Graham Murray, his coach, watching on, will be absolutely thrilled to bits with the form of Francis Cummings. And will be well pleased also with the kicking of Iestyn Harris. And that really does spell danger for Salford now. Leeds have streaked into a 16-8 lead right at the start of this second half.
There you see Iestyn Harris runs away from dummy half. You can see how the first and second markers are struggling. But look out wide. There's 5 Salford players there in the defence. There was always going to be confusion, and there was always going to be an opportunity. And it was taken well by Powell and Cummings.
A ball comes out, and the referee gives Salford the penalty. It was stolen. Well, that picture graphically emphasises it wasn't stolen. It was dropped by Firmilo and then came back off the Leeds man's knee.
Well, I think it's Firmilo's knee also dislodged it from him. It's going to be difficult for the official to sort of define now, because it's like a wet piece of soap at the moment. So any opportunities to kick goals will be vital in this second half.
Randall with that drive. Here goes Olker. Andy Gregory has high hopes of this young man. Showed up well in the first half, and he has acquitted himself well in Super League since he's been drafted into the side. Ball kicked through, it flicks off players on both sides. It's
surely that's back to one.
No, this is the last tackle. The ball played the man. You heard Robert Connolly telling the players. Mark Lee, out it goes to Rodgers. Chip over the top from Rodgers. And Harris drops it. And that will be a drop out from underneath the sticks. Rodgers nearly in for a try there.
Good individual effort there by Rodgers. Harris was in a great position, but made a bit of a meal of it. This is the earlier kick. Now, that came off Blackmore, touched Kemp. It was obviously deemed to be an accidental, not obstruction, but offside, should I say. There was very little that Kemp could have done about it. So the referee, Robert Connolly, definitely got it right in the end.
Firmilo runs it back strongly again. Masella and Matthew there to bring him down. Felt it too for Milo. Olker was a dummy half. Broadbent, he gets the pass away to Paul Heighton. Olker again. Here's Mark Lee. Randall went on a dummy run, but he got a good pass away to Rodgers. Rodgers coming out though towards the touchline, flicks the ball back inside. Whoops, that bounced off a Leeds man. That really could have been adjudged to have gone backwards.
Well, I think it did. I think Masella definitely got a hand to it. Rodgers did well. He knew he was going towards the whitewash. It certainly hit the right hand first. Only a fraction, but it was going forward before he reefed it back with his left hand.
So it's head and feet to Salford, and more pressure here now on the Leeds Rhinos. Only 8 points in it. Randall, it's a spirited reply from Salford to that early try this second half from Cummings, his second of the match. Big hit, it dislodged the ball from Broadbent, but luckily for Salford, Littler was there and he was the first man to react. Here's Svabek now.
A little bit too fancy there out wide in these conditions. You can see the rain just teeming down.
Mark Lee looked for McAvoy and found him. Blackmore got in with one tackle over the top and Holroyd round the ankles. This is Heighton. This Leeds defence stands firm.
Well, they should utilise the kick here. Anything can happen with this slippy ball.
McAvoy, he gets away from the defender and McAvoy gets over for the try. He just lifted his foot. Oh, he's got a real cut on the head as well as a little souvenir of his 5th try of 1998. But a brave run from the young centre, Nathan McAvoy then.
Who needs to kick when you've got the skill out wide? Nathan McAvoy. And you can see that they hesitate the defence. They really couldn't get to him. Anthony Farrell made a real meal of it. He was always going off balance. And there's 3 defenders in a very, very close area. Well, as a tall boy is McAvoy. He's only 21 years of age. If my memory serves me correct, he's played 114 games already for the Reds. That was a fine effort.
In great form last year, 15 tries. That's try number 5. Andy Gregory. Of course, he has to watch now from the sideline and keep in touch with his bench via that walkie-talkie, that a ruling by the Rugby Football League. So he's itching to get down to the sideline, is Andy Gregory, but he has to stay in his place. And he's watching here as young Simon Svabek has his 3rd kick at goal. 2 from 2 tonight for this youngster. I think I made him 19. We've checked on his birth certificate, and he's only 18, is young Simon Svabek, so even more of a prospect. Having said that, he's missed with that kick. 16-12. It's not over yet, not by a long chalk this.
See the 4 defenders there, and you see the man out wide. That's Farrell, and when he gets to McAvoy, he's off the off balance when he gets to him. That's why he couldn't get through him. It was good play there. Beautiful pass by Southern, and Farrell, as I say, was off balance, and bang, McAvoy through. Well, what a turn up there.
Yes, great try from McAvoy, off the field now and in the blood bin, but that was the 75th try that Nathan McAvoy has scored for the Salford club. England international, he's only 21. Double change by Graham Murray. McDermott's back and Andy Hay comes on. And let's get to some news of that cut on Nathan McAvoy's forehead. Here's Bill.
It looked pretty gruesome, Eddie, but in fact it's a superficial cut on the forehead, the hard-hearted Salford doctor tells me. In fact, Nathan McAvoy had stitches in another cut on his head at half-time, so he really has been in the wars, but that hasn't stopped him getting Salford back on the scoreboard, which is just what coach Andy Gregory wanted. He reckons that Leeds still are taking his side a little bit lightly. They might be below strength, but there's no doubting this Salford commitment. And the worry in the Leeds camp is that still, despite the fact they're ahead on the scoreboard, they're just a little bit lacklustre tonight. They're not on the pace. They really haven't got into their stride, and yet there's still no sign of them doing that.
Now Bill Arthur with the news from the touchline. Nathan McAvoy back in the thick of the action now after that try. Robert Connolly sent him to the blood bin, and he's been patched up obviously, and hunting more for the Salford Reds. Another big kick downfield from Mark Lee, and it turns Leeds around. Golden not interested in picking that one up.
Consummate professional, isn't he, Mark Lee? Continuing off from the first half with a superb kick down. Keeps turning the Leeds defence around, and they are the tactics on wet conditions. And as we saw in the first half, this solid defence where Leeds are scrumming down in their own quarter. They've come up with a few mistakes, and that's what Salford will be looking for yet again.
So Holroyd fed, and then he gave it to Kemp, and here now is Harris. One thing that we know won't happen tonight is that Marcus St. Hilaire won't come on, because he is the man who was injured this morning, and that has given Kevin Sinfield his opportunity to appear on the substitutes bench for Leeds. Marcus St. Hilaire out injured then, and normally when things aren't going right, Graham Murray brings St. Hilaire on and pushes Iestyn Harris up into the standoff role. Well, that cannot be a tactic tonight unless there's someone else who is a candidate to drop into the full-back role. Meanwhile, this is McDermott.
Well, Sinfield is playing standoff for the academy, and of course he could also drop Sinfield into the loose forward position and move Daryl Powell into the standoff position. He's had plenty of experience around that area.
So there are options for Graham Murray. Here's Broadbent now. Oh, that was risky business in his own 10-metre zone, but he's got away with it, and Rogers, well, he had a little bit of daylight ahead of him, but it was quickly closed down by the tackle of Andy Hay.
Did well there, Rogers. He was under a lot of pressure. Didn't realise that ball was going to be popped up to him. Good work there by Powell. Shows you how quick than the first marker.
You notice, I'm sure, that Andy Gregory has made a couple of changes now, so fresh legs all over the field. Meanwhile is Randall.
worked overtime as a loose forward, not only just in defence, which in the opening 20 minutes he was outstanding.
Savelio hangs on. Nearly through Kemp, he manages to get the pass away, and Rogers does well again, and off the ground, not held, he gets the ball away. Well, Salford warming to the task again here, and Broadbent is tackled. It's the last for Salford this set of 6. Lee again with the kick, looking for the runner out wide. Sterling's underneath it. He was a bit dodgy with the high balls last week, and has Scott Martin come up with a try here?
I think he has.
I think Robert Connolly is going to hand it on again. He does. And let's take a look at it, he says. And wisely so.
Make sure you grounded the ball correctly.
Offside, he wants to look at, or he wants the video ref to look at, and grounding the ball correctly. Well, I think he grounded it okay.
It's that man again, isn't it? And I think that they're all behind him. Yeah, and I'm not so sure when we just sneak away. Was that man in front? It's hard to say from that shot. We'll see a little bit better there. And I just get the feeling that this was going to be disallowed. Is about half a metre in front. Way out on, you see the Sky World of Sport board? Well, just underneath there is the man that we're looking for. And it's Martin that's now, whether they take it, who interferes with Sterling. We've got to take the ball forward, and that's what they're doing.
Martin, I think, is onside, Steve-O. It's this fella now leading the chase.
Well, is it I think it's young Littler, is it? Yes, it is. Now, did he interfere? If he's offside, he has to allow the winger, Paul Sterling, 10 metres. He failed to do that, and I'm afraid there's going to be a no try.
Well, there you go. Well, a try is given. Sterling did get a hand to it and fiddled with it, so maybe he's put everybody just about onside. Anyway, Scott Martin has got the try on the nod of the video referee, and there's golden proof that Mr. Stevenson is not the man who makes the decision.
Well, I can't believe this, that it's another great kick from Mark Lee. Let's not take that away, but you can see that the man out there, which is Stuart Littler, is not supposed to go anywhere within 10 metres. And as Eddie pointed out, the try scorer was behind the kicker. But the man which went to, and that was Littler, he interfered, and if he's in front, he's supposed to give him 10 metres.
The video referee has ruled that he wasn't in front, he was onside, Littler and Martin. So Scott Martin gets the try, and he knows where the whitewash is when he's playing Leeds, and what's more, the fat is very much in the fire now, because it's 16 all, 2 tries for Salford in 7 minutes of this second half. And here's a moment for Simon Svabik. Doesn't look old enough to be playing the game, does he? But from way out on the touchline, gives it a belt, but doesn't get the direction right. So the scores are level. It's 16 all. And Salford giving Leeds a real fright here.
Well, we'll see another angle. Now watch. He kicks right on the line. And if that guy out wide isn't a half a step in front. Now that's a point where the foot hits the ball. I think he's a few inches in front, but never mind.
Well, you've got to say that because you expected no try. And you were the most surprised man in Gateshead when TRY appeared.
I still am.
Here's Sinfield now, though. He's into the fray. That's Barry McDermott taking the tackle, but I'll be interested to see this young fellow. He's got big raps from a lot of people in the game. Golden future predicted for Kevin Sinfield. So look out for him. He's wearing number 30 on his back for Leeds. And there he is.
Well, Graham Murray realises that his Leeds outfit is in a bit of a hole here, even though they're level pegging. Full credit to Salford. They really have come out firing.
Sheridan. Now then, first touch Sinfield, and he gets it to Blackmore, who helps it on one-handed to Golden. And Rogers stuck out a boot and connected with that.
Golden kicked it forward. You could see that Blackmore was in an offside position. That's the reason why he didn't go for that ball.
And well done, Nathan McAvoy. He took the situation into his own hands.
Well, I think you can see that the quality of this Salford defence is being proved by the fact that Leeds are opting for the kick, not a move in any way with trying to pass the ball or run arounds. They know they've been in the game.
They certainly do. And it must have surprised them, as it surprised, I'm sure, many people in the game, because they lost last week at home to Warrington, 14 points to 25. They beat Warrington 37-4 at Wilderspool, and that really is a couple of results that emphasise the great slump that has come about in Salford's season. But don't mention the word slump to anyone in the red shirt here tonight.
What a great captain's knock. Once again, we see the little half-back gave himself plenty of time on the blind side, so that there was never any chance of Leeds applying any pressure to put him off. You talk about skippers leading by example. What a night he's having. Basic football, but it's so effective.
It's a gritty and determined show, this, from Salford. Andy Gregory brought the youngsters in and said every one of them would sweat blood for the cause, and so they are. They're chasing and harrying, and Leeds are certainly out of their stride. Powell didn't like all that. This is Farrell. More good defence, though, and the tackle then was completed by Savelio.
Well, we saw there Darryl Powell not happy with the way that he's been tackled, and it just gives the impression that perhaps they're losing the plot a bit, Leeds.
Dermot to Harris, out wide it goes to Hay, further wide it goes again to Cummins, and on his hat-trick. Sterling at dummy half, into the arms of Holroyd. Holroyd looked and saw where the posts were, hoisted a big bomb, and it bounces, and Rodgers is quite content to just palm that ball over the dead ball line.
He knew Blackmore was behind him. Took no chances whatsoever. Probably would have bounced over the top of them, and I don't think Blackmore perhaps would have got there, but he didn't realise it.
He's 6'4" tall, Darren Rodgers, and he needed every inch of that height to get above Blackmore and pat the ball dead. That's why we have this dropout. Good length on the dropout too. Farrell's underneath it. Now he crosses. Crosses the halfway line. Alker, the first man in with the tackle.
He's impressed me, the hooker. He's certainly got a good future ahead of him. And he's got through some solid work, as all the Salford players. It's been a good team effort.
There's Jamie Matthew. Yassini Familo with the tackle, helped out by Paul Heighton. Holroyd and Harris. Angled run, showed it twice, then gave it to Sterling. And Sterling, an elusive runner, halted 5 metres short of the line. And Sterling has lost the ball. The referee was right on the spot there. He's looking over to the touch judge. And he eventually gives the decision of a knock-on against Sterling of Leeds.
Well, obviously the touch judges didn't see anything. And let's see. Oh, it's pretty hard. Well, you're right, Eddie. Look at the position of the referee. You can see it. And he just lost it.
Well, he got the right decision in the end, but he looked across here to his touch judge for help, Robert Connolly, and I don't honestly think there was much help forthcoming. Now then, penalty goes Leeds' way for incorrect playing of the football. Bang in front of the posts. What a mistake, and what a decision from Robert Connolly.
Well, the coach, Andy Gregory, must be furious at this.
Yeah.
He dropped it. He dropped it, so it should be a scrum down. Knock on, not playing the ball incorrectly. He just lost control of the football. That is a harsh penalty. Well, he looks calm and collected, but I can assure you, deep inside the big pounding heart of Andy Gregory, he will be saying, what on earth have they given a penalty for that? He loses control. That's it. That's just a knock on. That should have been a scrum down.
The ball went in between his legs, so I suppose the referee at the end of the day had no option. I'm being kind to him. He's given the penalty anyway for incorrect play the ball. Bang in front, Harris. That's two. A harsh penalty, but this is a harsh, tough game at times, and Leeds are 18-16 ahead now.
Well, maybe it's all the better for Andy Gregory to be sat up in the stand, not allowed down on the sidelines, of course. Not anymore. I think we may have seen a more animated Andy Gregory.
He does actually say he enjoys the view up there.
He may tell us that.
He said, well, he did. He said it on the World of Super League, didn't he, the other week? Rogers. Salford now have to dig deep again to come from behind once more. 18 minutes of the match remaining.
Well, the spirit and courage that they've shown already, you certainly couldn't put Salford out of this game. Still plenty of time remaining. I'm just going to make the point, perhaps, that maybe it's coming to the time with the bad weather that Leeds perhaps should have gone for the 1 point. They were setting up for it, but didn't need it in the end.
Well, I wonder whether you have spotted a man of the match performance tonight. If you have, there's the number to ring, 0891 33 33 13. Votes invited now, and if you win our competition tonight, you're on your way to the grand final on October the 24th. 0891 33 33 13.
What you could see there, it was one of the poorer kicks from Mark Lee. It went straight down the throat of the fullback, Justin Harris, and you can see what difference that has made. It's put Leeds in a very good position now to launch an attack.
This is Powell, he's collared.
And that's what it was, tackled by the collar.
Matthew.
Good defence. Now then, will they go for one?
Well, Harris is there, he flicks it wide. Holroyd tries to drill it through. That ball played the man. No knock on. Lee gets it back for Salford.
Well, again, we see Leeds opting for a good option in these conditions for obvious reasons. But it just shows you the respect that they're giving this Salford defence. And it did surprise me that on the last two occasions they've kicked a low kick when really they should be putting the pressure to the wingman, perhaps.
Once again, Salford have surrendered possession. Sinfield it was who dropped on that loose ball. This is Golden. Wants to get up. Rogers with his hand on his back. Salford players looking at referee Robert Connolly. They're getting a little frustrated now, the Salford Reds. Holroyd flicks a good ball to Andy Hay. Would have been forward. Oh, Cummins gets the hat-trick. That was a forward pass, I think. Robert Connolly looks at the touch judge who stood on the corner post, which is an indication there might be something wrong.
No.
And he said forward pass. He questioned it with Robert Connolly, and Robert Connolly has overruled him. Tries given to Cummins, who gets the hat-trick. But it's rough justice for Salford, if our angle is anything to go by.
Well, it was a good move by Leeds. Let's not take anything away from it. Using the big fella, Hay out wide. You can see there, handled it very well, Graham Holroyd. And a good offload. But as Eddie mentioned, on our angle, that looked slightly forward. Here's the high shot. Well, could be the momentum rule as you move forward. So maybe the Connolly has definitely got it right. Amazing what the angles, and this is the reason, of course, that they cannot go to the video screen for forward passes, because so many different angles can confuse you, the viewer, us, commentators, and the video referees. That's why they don't do it.
Justin Harris then with his 6th attempt at goal. And that's the first hat-trick, by the way, from Francis Cummins in the Super League, and Justin Harris steady as she goes with the boot. 24 points to 16. Leeds pegged back to 16 all. Salford now with it all to do again.
You can see there two defenders coming into the ball carrier, which is Holroyd. Notice how Hayes coming on the arc, and he goes through a beautiful gap. That was well created.
Here's Lucchini Savelio. So 8 points the difference now. Randall turned over on his back by Hay and McDermott. Kamalka was the dummy half. Milo. Alka again. Cliff Eccles now. Darryl Powell and Cummins get to him with the tackle. Here's Mark Lee. Little chip over the top from Lee, but well read by Harris. And a swinging arm
there, yeah. Well, it was good work, wasn't it? Yet again from Mark Lee, and you can see the right arm swinging. Frustration coming into the game. Stupidity, really.
Mark.
Especially with enough time on the clock for them to get back into this match.
Mark Lee.
Referee wants a word with the Salford captain.
Salford, so don't form up for scrum. Mark, he's got a good tackle, a good kick, and he came in and give him a face. Okay. Think about it. You're behind. You're just knocking your team further back.
Well, penalty goes Leeds' way for the little right hook from Mark Lee. There.
Wasn't so little either. It's no excuse, though, the frustration. He's had a fine match as Mark Lee. Certainly doesn't deserve losing money if that's how it pans out in the end.
Well, Leeds have given the ball away. First tackle. Well, there's an old saying, isn't there, in any sport, if you're not playing terribly well, but you still manage to come out with a victory, you could be in for a very, very interesting season. Leeds today are certainly not playing to their usual high standards, or at least the standards that we expected from them in the opening 9 weeks of this season. Well, Randall releases the ball and Broadbent retains possession.
To be fair, you can only play as well as the opposition will allow you, and Salford's defence has been quite superb. Well, that could have been a flop again from Powell. Well, I must say Powell's had a fine match also.
Martin plays the ball. Rogers gives it then to Randall. Randall flicks the ball out the back door. Dry weather football in these wet conditions.
They'll play on. And the full-back, you can see Broadbent. And they're in that position now, I'm afraid, of the Reds. They've got to keep this ball alive. At 24-16, time running out. It's catch-up football. They've got to force the pass on all occasions now. And this really is where Leeds should slow it down. Use the forwards, drive up, kick downfield, or go for that 1 point.
Here's Sterling. Cuts through two, Sterling. Broadbent goes for him, misses him. Good job that Martin was there. Martin hauls him down. Still plenty of tackles left here for Leeds. This is Harris. Flicks the pass back. The movement continues. It's Sterling again. Darryl Powell in the dummy half. They're 11 metres short of the line. McDermott with the big drive.
This is where Harris should be setting himself up.
Sinfield dummy half. It's back with Holroyd. Fancies the 1 point. He spewed it wide of the post.
Nice option. And they worked hard for it, but I'm afraid it just skewed away. Beautiful break, though, by Sterling. I must say, it's amazing what a coach can do to a player who just goes off form a little bit. Well, I think Sterling would be the first to admit that he had a bit of a nightmare game against Bradford last week, and that's the reason why Murray put Sterling on the substitutes bench tonight. But since he's come on, he's worked extremely hard. He's had a point to prove to his coach, and my word, he's done that.
Heighton, great strength. We're in the last 10 minutes. Calls still invited on 0891 33 33 13 for your man of the match votes. Rogers has to take the tackle. Broadbent, dummy half. Lee continues, and that's good play. This is McAvoy again.
Full credit to the Reds. They have not thrown in the towel, and it needs good defence to keep them out.
Lovely kick through again from Lee, but well read by Yestin Harris.
Tremendous play there. Lee realised that the sweeper, it's the hooker Ryan Sheridan, was just out of position a bit there. Well spotted by Harris. He came up rather quickly.
Marvin Golden for Leeds on the halfway line. Plays it to Sheridan, who fancies a little scamper. Tackle not completed. Now it is, courtesy of Olka. Harris at dummy half. Lovely ball back on the inside. Holroyd Scrambling defence.
He would have felt that Holroyd. He was dipping into it, and Broadbent made a big connection. He's very wobbly and he's down on his knees now, is Holroyd.
Play continues meanwhile with Blackmore. Got Golden outside him. Tried to put boot to ball. Oh, the ball comes free. The referee will play the first knock on. Svabik just couldn't keep hold of it.
Well, the man was committed through him. McAvoy went down before Blackmore had released that football. Well, there's a lot that he can be proud of tonight, Simon Svabik. He's certainly shown the way for the Academy League. I mentioned before the game started, Eddie, it just shows you that the Academy League is working. A lot of these youngsters coming through, and they look the part, don't they?
They do. They do. There's a number of them out there now. Littler, Svabik, that's him, Simon Svabik. Malcolm Olker, Kevin Sinfield.
Went back, it went back.
The ball went back, so Salford are able to keep hold, courtesy of Scott Martin. He was first to react. This is McAvoy. He just lost his footing in these slippy, wet conditions.
But you could see how eager Sterling is.
Oh, Salford are contributing to their own downfall. It was great pressure from Blackmore, but Southern lost the football, bang in front of his own posts.
Well, it's in that position, isn't it? The Reds trying to keep the ball alive under pressure. Sheridan also there. Big prop forward, just couldn't bring it in. Now then, will they do the set move on the blind side?
Well, they go for Harris in centre field instead. Harris with an angled run, he saw a little gap. Oh, and he flicked it back. And Svabik is the man who reacted first.
Good play though by Littler. He put himself in there, the winger. Did very well there. And he got himself in. And when Harris tried to offload, Littler was the first to. Good play. That's great defence though.
Oh, and Cervello there, his ankle went underneath Anthony Farrell. Cried out in pain, but he looks as though he's all right. Just limping back into the line here for Salford. Ooh, McDermott came right in over the top, and I think he's come off the worst of that with Paul Heighton.
He sure has. And Heighton just saw the big express coming at him, just ducked out of the way. And McDermott caught a real hard one.
So, oh, he tried to kick that forward, Craig Randall. It was on the last tackle. It was desperate stuff from Randall.
Well, Randall claiming that he was held back, but once again we see the man in the motion of releasing the football whilst the man is committing himself to the tackle. They've had to slug it out. Heavy conditions.
Sinfield dumped to the ground by Paul Southern. Well, Steve-O, we mentioned before the match started that if Leeds did get on top and they were red-hot favourites here, they would try and do their points difference a world of good, but 100% credit to Salford for keeping the scoreline to what it is. Holroyd with a little kick through. Holroyd hacks on and Holroyd touches down. I think that's a try, but Robert Connolly again wants to make absolutely sure.
Well done there by Holroyd. He was held back as well. It was a fine execution.
Got a black eye for his pains tonight, Holroyd.
Nice try.
Fingertips.
No doubt about that. Great control. Great camera work too. Oh, superb stuff. What a great individual effort by Holroyd. He's back to his best too. You could see that the fullback Broadbent was just caught a little bit shy.
Well, everybody's watched that in this stadium, and the inevitable decision for Graham Holroyd. Try against the Bulls last week as well. Another man in the emerging England squad, and I think Andy Gregory knows he's heading back to Salford with nil point again.
A very tired defence now. Ball out wide. Superb skills there. Whilst that ball was in air from the fullback Justin Harris, the brain was ticking over from Graham Holroyd. Many people have said over the years Holroyd would make the top class time international, and he's certainly showing that this season. Quite often in the past I've criticised him for not taking on the defence. You couldn't say that now. He really is on fire. That was a fine effort. Fully deserved.
Excellent try then from Holroyd. Harris again. 4 out of 6. So it's the trusty boot of Harris again to make it 5 from 7. And no problems. Touch judges' flags tell you it's another 2. And Leeds now 30 points to 16 against Salford. I think they've closed the gap on Wigan.
Look at the area. No one at home. Beautiful, quick thinking, good control. Nice execution.
Graham Holroyd's try then. That just about finishes it as far as Leeds are concerned. Just 3 minutes 20 seconds to go. And Leeds will certainly close that gap on Wigan at the top. And with this round 14 spread over 3 weeks, and Wigan last into action against St Helens at Swansea, a difficult match anywhere, the gauntlet is well and truly thrown down now.
Well, full credit to these youngsters that came on today, especially the Salford trio. Littler, Svabic, and the hooker, Malcolm Alker.
McAvoy puts the ball down again.
They're getting very tired. It has been a superhuman effort from them all. I mean, on the paper, when you look at the situation, this is a mistake yet again. See, he just took his eyes off the football, looking at the man coming towards him. But when you looked at the teams on paper, you never really gave Salford anything of a chance. So there's got to be something that their coach Andy Gregory can glean from it. And also, for any youngster watching, the future is bright. There is teams out there, go and play it. You'll be given the opportunity. There's plenty of coaches in this Super League quite happy to give the youngsters a go, and it's nice to see.
Marvin Golden, 10 metres from the Salford line, plays the ball to Blackmore. He finds Harris. Leeds trying to finish with a real flourish here now in the last 2 minutes, even closer to the try line. Farrell picks himself up. Sheridan's the man at dummy half. He gets it inside to Matthew. Long ball out wide then, and it's picked up by Francis Cummins. Cummins takes it back to within 10 metres of that Salford line again. 4 tackles, only 11 metres made, but Leeds ending the match on attack with Fleary. Flicks the ball back, Sheridan. Flicks the ball back, Holroyd. Now Harris. Still Harris. Oh, breathtaking skill from Harris. Golden out wide. Wonderful try. Wonderful Leeds try created by Iestyn Harris, who's the first to congratulate Golden. Iestyn Harris with a weaving, mazy run fooled the entire Salford Reds defence, and Golden on hand for the try.
This is why they forked out the big money for the Welsh Wizard. Good pass there, kept it alive. Sheridan did his job too. When you've got a commanding lead, you can take the gamble. Holroyd went around and they took the dummy. As I say, yet again, a tired defence. An unselfish play here. There was just a point there where perhaps you thought Harris, especially with it wet conditions, would have taken the chance and tried to slide over. But he did the safety first. He did the right thing. He knew that Golden was out wide. He's come on a bundle, hasn't he? Iestyn Harris. We knew he was always going to be a classy player. But the responsibility of being the skipper at Leeds these days, he's such an accomplished player now.
He is. He laid that on a plate for Marvin Golden. And Iestyn Harris now from way out on this near touchline, just lining his sights up for this, his 8th kick at goal. It's got a chance, you know. Oh, he's hit the post. 34-16. Leeds have won this opening showcase match in Gateshead. And right on the full-time button as well. Well, I don't know whether the battery has run out on the timekeeper's siren, but surely next tackle will be the last. Josh White underneath the kickoff. Savelio runs it in. Tackle's completed. There's the siren. Match is over. Marvin Golden's try, created by a wonderful run from Iestyn Harris. Poor old Andy Gregory, he's seen his men put in a huge effort for him. They had them at 16 all in the 54th minute. But then Harris and company got going. A penalty goal that was maybe a little harsh set them on their way. And Graham Murray and the man that he succeeded in the coaching hot seat at Headingley, Dean Bell, make their way to the dressing rooms to welcome the Rhinos back. Francis Cummins with a hat-trick. No doubt he will claim all the headlines. But it's been a great effort from Salford. But in the end, not quite good enough on the night. And Leeds have won 34 points to 16. Now still to come here tonight on Sky Sports 1 at 10. It's the World Cup phone-in, followed at 10:45 by all the day's news in the Sports Centre. At 11, a preview of tomorrow's B&H Cup final between Essex and Leicestershire. It's live, Sky Sports 1 tomorrow. Live golf now over on Sky Sports 2, coverage of day 2 of the US Senior Players Championship. And over on Sky Sports 3 at 10, it's wrestling action in WWF Raw. But after the break here, we look back on this opening match in the Showcase Roadshow in Gateshead. Look ahead to what's next to come with Ian Robson from Super League Europe and name your man of the match. Leeds have won 34 points to 16 at Gateshead. A Francis Cummins hat-trick, really the feature of their victory. 34-16, so they close the gap on Wigan at the top of this. Of course, the opening match of the Rugby League Super League Showcase on the road. Now then, your votes for man of the match have come in, and Mark Lee is the overall winner. 38%, well ahead of Cummins and Harris of Leeds. So some consolation for Mark Lee, the Salford skipper, and he's here now talking with Bill.
Mark, congratulations on a man of the match performance. You must be proud of the effort your side put in.
Yeah, certainly. For about 65, 70 minutes, you know, we really stuck in there, but last 10 minutes we fell away, probably because we was trying to play catch-up football. And on a night like tonight, you know, it's been really throwing it down up here, and if you haven't noticed. And, you know, there's a lot of spilt ball, but unfortunately we've done most of the spilling.
You said before the game, you told us that it was vital Salford got off to a good start. You certainly did that.
That's correct, because as I say, we haven't been playing with much confidence, and you know, we can take heart from 65 minutes of tonight's game against, you know, a top side like Leeds.
And you can take heart from the performance of some of the young lads that were thrown in.
Yeah, we knew before we went out these young lads wouldn't let us down. You know, young Simon at standoff, young Stewart on the wing, and unfortunately Ricky didn't get on off the bench, but you know, their time will come, and they certainly didn't let anyone down tonight.
Well, Mark, man of the match wins £200 worth of sports equipment, courtesy of Puma. Who are you going to pass that on to?
That one will go to a local amateur side in St Helens, which I coach with my brother. It's called Portugal Panthers.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, thanks a lot, Bill.
Well done, Mark Lee, and well done, John Owen from Sheffield, who picked him out as the man of the match, and his name comes out of our computer first. John, you're off to Old Trafford on the 24th of October for the Super League Grand Final, the big night of the year, and your name also goes forward into the end-of-season draw for the VIP box at Old Trafford on the big day. Of course, all the sides in Super League aiming for Old Trafford on the 24th. Leeds on this roadshow showcase. They've got the first 2 points of round 14. The pressure's back on Wigan at the top. We've heard from Mark Lee, the Salford skipper. Now then, what about the winners? And Francis Cummins picks up all the headlines with his hat-trick. Here he is talking now to Bill.
Congratulations on a hat-trick, Francis. How do you feel about that?
Well, obviously, scoring any match is a good feeling. To get an hat-trick is something special.
And that's put you top of the try-scoring charts.
Well, you know, you take everything as it comes, you know, so all right, yeah, there's a long way to go at top, and I'm there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
But what about that Leeds performance? It wasn't one of your best, was it?
No, really a nightmare first half for us. Graham had a few stern words to tell, you know, say to us in the half-time. I put a few things together in the second half, but really we just scraped through.
Didn't seem as though you were quite on the pace tonight.
No, to be honest, I think with the small pitch, you know, helped Salford, and we didn't really play to conditions as well. But you know, they played really well, you know, and they made it really tough for us.
Fair to say you're just going through a bit of a slump in form. I mean, you're still winning, but the form's not as it was early in the season. Oh,
without, you know, everybody knows that. As I say, we're still winning, but we've got a lot of work to do, you know, in the layoff we've got in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Yes, Leeds get a 2-week break now, but they know that Wigan, on the last weekend of these showcase matches, have to beat 5th place St Helens to regain their 2-point advantage. But the points difference of Wigan, it's almost like an extra point for them, isn't it? But that's the way it looks after this first match of round 14, which of course will be taken on the road as Super League Europe takes the game around the country to showcase it to a brand new audience. And talking of that, we're joined here in the studio now by Ian Robson, who is the marketing director of Super League Europe. We will hear from Ian a little bit later on in the programme as we look ahead to the matches to come. But Steve-O, before that, let's just look back at this match. And I made the point in the commentary, if the team isn't playing on the very top of its form but still gets by with a victory, it's got to be good news for Leeds, this.
Well, of course, but I think you've got to look at the fact that the reason why Leeds came away with the points, because they had the killer instinct at the right time. Cummins had the speed, they just had that little bit of class. We saw from Salford, it was a great effort. We knew that the youngsters, we mentioned at half-time that they were going to struggle, and probably Leeds with their power and their experience will get through. It's very difficult to ask so many academy players to come in like that and go into the hotbed of Super League. I mean, some of the players, they find it tough as it is. But
at least he got heart, though, Andy Gregory.
Of course, and as we mentioned through the commentary, I think it's wonderful that what the Academy League is producing at the moment. We've got a good quality of it, and it was Cummins that really just broke the ice again in the second half. I mean, it was this try. A lot of people say that, you know, well, maybe he was just there at the right time. There's no such thing as being there at the right time. You've got to fight for it. You've got to put yourself in a position, and you can see here the offload, and I thought Powell had a great game. He's really fitting into it well. And it was a good pass, and off he went in for it. That was his second try. But